Hi everyone! So today I have Spellbinders' new BetterPress of the month to share with you. They're kicking it off in July, so it says July 2023. It's called the Poinsettia frame. I've shown it a couple times already, but today we're going to play with it. So they did send these items free of charge in my review, and of course all opinions are my own, and any links in the description box will be affiliate links, which means I'll make a small commission if you purchase items to those links. So thank you for using those if you can. So right off the bat, for the BetterPress, you're going to need the BetterPress tool, which I will bring out in just a second here. This one is large enough to do like an A2 size frame look. Of course, you can go with a card that might be a little bit larger, whatever it is that you want to do with that. But the sizing here is for that. And then it has a separate plate that says Merry Christmas. Now, I've again shown this a few times and talked about it. So it has the poinsettia. It's really gorgeous, just all around. You can definitely do your better pressing, color them in, leave it just pretty, use a colored ink, you know, however it is that you want to use it. So today I think we're going to use it in a couple different ways. Maybe one with some coloring and then one with just the ink being the color. And I also want to try it with regular paper since we haven't done that yet in my other BetterPress videos. We've been using the cotton paper, so we will definitely use cotton paper, and we will also use just like Spellbinders paper that comes in the card kit, so it's a nice sturdy cardstock, and see how it does, if it needs an extra shim or if it just works out, you know, however. But I think that's all I'm going to say about it until we get to the actual work here. So let me just grab some papers, grab my BetterPress, the Archival inks that I use with the BetterPress. Again, they're made by Ranger. They're just like a thicker viscosity ink. If you want to try using maybe pigment inks, should work really well. The reason I'm saying that is because dye inks sometimes will want to repel, but you know, you can try out different inks, however. You know, whatever works best for you. Generally, you want it to be a ink pad that is like a felt top. See how that's like hard, stiff, good stuff. And if you use something like this where it has the foam and you're trying to ink it up, that foam top, see how it's all porous, will definitely poke down into the areas where you don't want it, and then you're going to get some over inking. So even if you have, I don't even know if they have pigment inks that aren't on something like that, but try to stay away from the foam ink pads. That's all I'm saying. Or be super careful, or use a brayer, which just introduces more work. So I would just say, you know, use those Archival inks, those good thick ones that are formulated for something like this. But let me grab some papers, my tool, and I'll be right back. So since I already have some pieces of paper that are already A2 size, I'm just going to use them. But generally I would use a piece of paper that's a little bit bigger than A2, and that way you can trim it down, and or use, you know, one of your well, maybe I'll still do that, but you can use like one of your precision plates or dies to cut it perfectly if you're just a little bit off, you know, in your estimation of where it's going to be printing there. And I'm going to do this, let me see, maybe for this first one we'll try to do it all at the same time, which it's not my preference. I like to do, you know, if I'm using two different colors, do two different passes, but we'll try today. I have just my basic black in one of these, and this is also like wild berry. But those are just samples I had received initially. As you can see, they didn't even have the labeling or anything. But I do have these kits here. So what I want to do is, let me see about mulberry. I feel like mulberry was more purple. Let me see. Yeah, it's more of a purple. I'm trying to think which colors I want to pair together. I don't really have like a red. Let's go with BetterPress black and maybe wildberry, even though it's a little pink, just to kind of show you how you might want to do that. So actually this is black right here, and this one is going to be my wild berry, I believe. Yep. So wild berry, black, and then we have these guys. Put those back. So just pulling this out and realizing I'm like, oh, a green would be good, or maybe a red. So hopefully they'll come out with those colors soon. But we have our BetterPress system here, and again, the plate can go either way. Everything is centered and it magnetizes on both sides too, so you can use it however you want. I always keep basically all three shims in here, so all three plastic shims that it came with are in here, ready to go. Just gonna place this on here, and I'm centering it within the A2. Again, if I need to trim this down later, let's say it's not quite right, then I can still use probably one of my precision plates. And I'm going to also put the wording, and I'm sure it fits one way better than the other because I can see that those connected too easily. So a little bit scary because it's very close here, but I'll just pay attention when I get there. And let's just, it says Merry Christmas here. Just wanted to make sure that I'm nice and straight. So I'm going to take a moment to look at that sentiment and just really pay attention to how that might... I'm looking at the curly cues on the S and the C, and I feel like that's pretty even, so we'll just go with that. On this one, it's a little experimental, and this is the paper from Spellbinders. Again, not as thick as the cotton paper. I don't know if you can see the thickness difference, right? So I feel like maybe I should add one more shim, and this is just me making things up, I don't know. So this is the shim from the extended plates for the new universal system, so I might use this, but it doesn't fit underneath, so I might run it through on top. We will see. If I don't forget, I'm gonna put it to the side for now. We want this paper on here, and basically it's just gonna line right up even. So what's really nice about this plate is it's right on the A2. I know there's some other plates from Spellbinders where the plate is actually a little bit larger than the A2. So okay, so that looks pretty good. We're basically going to stick it on here though, so I'm just going to eyeball this, looking at my guides, left and right, just to kind of center it as evenly as I can. Put that down very carefully. And they use 4 of these. If you just want to use 2, just in the very corner, because I'm not sure exactly where the design touches or doesn't, so very, very corners of my paper, I'll do one more. Like I said, this paper's thinner, so I am going to use that extra shim, and we'll see how it goes. Now let's see, is this the black or the pink? This looks like it's the black. Yeah. So I'm going to take this guy, and I'm going to be careful not to touch this area. I'm trying to touch just my wording, and if I get it on there, I'll just wipe it off like that. So these are nice ink pads because they're a little bit larger than like those little tiny squares. Again, you can do this in 2 passes. You don't have to be careful and try to, you know, do what I'm doing. And you kind of want to give it a little turn. I did have somebody ask me, how do you get your plates not to move? This is magnetic. I'm not doing anything special. I'm doing what you see here. So I don't know, guys, but maybe when you're squishing and tapping, don't do it so hard, right? So this card is definitely going to be pink in the background. And to be honest, I was going to do black background, pink lettering, and I just went the opposite way. And again, I'm just going around here and just making sure if it's pink as you see, then you're good. You know, you don't need to be drowning in it. And I see I got some black on there, but hopefully that pink will overtake. Kind of giving it a and a push and a little bit of a wiggle. I guess I was holding the plate over here. Maybe that helps, I don't know. But now that I have ink everywhere, I'm not going to be holding the plate anymore. And it's not moving at all, so I'm sorry, I don't know. That looks pretty good to me. I feel like everything's pink. This does not touch the plate until it actually gets squished by the machine, so don't be afraid that you're going to touch the ink and mess that up somehow. I'm going to bring this guy over. And I said I was going to add an extra shim, so I'm just going to put this on top, you guys, and see how that does. So I'm going to roll it through, you'll see the shim sitting on top. Just adding a little extra thickness, and I can feel that that did add some thickness, because I can feel how it's doing. And you're supposed to roll this kind of slowly, and I just went kind of fast. Slow is good, because that way you get a good connection between your plate and your ink and everything. But look at that. Okay, I just added the extra shim. I did get a little black right here, but you know what? I think that we're fine. And it looks really great. It's centered really nicely. I did get it a little bit higher here and lower here, if you really pay attention to that. So we might just run it through with one of our precision dies just to... But honestly, I think that's pretty good. It doesn't bother me much. Or just trim it down. You don't have to use a precision die. You can just trim it yourself. Okay, what I'm going to do is just wipe this off. And I'm going to separate this out. So next one, we're just going to use the frame. I'm going to ink it up in black with the cotton paper, okay? But right now, I'm just going to wipe this down. That's all I do, wipe it off with a paper towel. Show you. If you are wiping with a paper towel, and I want to show you there's not much on here, and paper towel gets pilly and all that, so I just kind of go like this, and I'll show you there's really not much on here. But again, you don't want to put a bunch of fluff and stuff on here. To be honest, last time I was using just like a kitchen towel, and that worked out really well. So let me take this off and we'll get ready for this next one, okay? You know what, now that I look at it, that Merry Christmas is so nice. I was thinking about cutting it like a tag afterwards, so maybe I'll still do that, but it does look very nice all at once. So I'm not going to use the extra film there that I have. And this guy I'm going to set up again. When I look at it, I feel like there's a front side and a back side. I don't know if you can see the difference with the texture. This side feels to me like the front, just because it's a little bit like more artsy looking, and this side is a little more pressed looking. I don't know how to explain it. So for whatever side you want facing up, go for it. I like that other side facing up. And then again, I'm using the guides to help me put that down. And we're just going to boop right in the very edges. It doesn't have to be perfect, and like I said, you can just put 2 of them if you want. But a little more secure is always better. This guy, let's make sure he is centered now that I've been kind of wiping him and moving around a little bit. I'm just looking at the lines. That looks pretty good. And let's make sure which one I have here. That's the pink. I can tell right away. Not sure why I was testing them earlier. But now we're going to go over this with the black ink. And again, I'm going a little more willy-nilly this time because I don't have that plate in the middle to be careful with. So I'm just, again, doing a little squishy squish, a little like turn like that. Just making sure everything has black ink on it. And in my opinion, looking at it, nothing has moved, so it's a really strong magnet. Alright, so there we go. And let's bring this guy back. You see, I didn't clean anything up, even if I got ink like on my mat, which I don't think I did. But it's just, they did such a good job with how recessed or however it is. Again, we're going to run this through. I'm going to go a little slower than I did last time. It's not that big a deal. And then what I was going to mention. Yes, as far as your plates themselves, if you're new to BetterPress, you can put the BetterPress plates in your glimmer. Spellbinders themselves says that's kind of a newer thing, so it might degrade over time. They don't know yet because obviously it's a new tool, new plates. They're trying them, but if it degrades the coating, that time will tell. So for me, I'm just gonna keep them separate. Maybe for a tutorial here and there, maybe I'll try it out for you guys, but I like to keep things separate. But do not bring your glimmer plates to this, because the glimmer plates are thicker and you don't want to damage this. I know there's gonna be some brave souls, I'm sure, that's gonna try it anyway. That won't be me, but even Spellbinders themselves says don't do that, but everyone does whatever they want, of course. And there it is. I mean, look how gorgeous and crisp it is. The other question I get is, what's the difference between this and stamping? Look how crisp that is, again. And it's also embossed, like pushed into the paper. Well, not embossed, debossed, I guess, because it's pushed in. Someone had said embedded is a good word. Maybe. Embedded to me, I feel like means it's like sandwiched, like in something, But yeah, it's just pushed into it. So if I run my nail over this, you can hear like the little lines, right? Really cool. Okay, I think we're gonna do Merry Christmas separately. So let me think about what I want that to look like, and I'll be right back. Okay, I'm cleaning this off again. Ranger does have a product you can pick up on Spellbinders' site. It is the Archival ink, basically a remover. In my opinion, it's mostly alcohol ink based. It might have some other solvents in there, I don't know, but alcohol based, excuse me. So sometimes you can just spray this with alcohol, to be honest, and just really clean it off so it doesn't just sit there, but that should also help remove any of the old ink, because it's, again, a thicker ink. After a while it's going to start mounding up there, even when you're just wiping it down, so you want to clean those out. I haven't had to do that quite yet, so there's that. So I think what I'm going to do is this Merry Christmas with just a scrap of some thick beige paper. Now this paper is a little bit thicker, but I still might run it through with that extra shim, just kind of having an idea of where that might be, because obviously I'm gonna have to use a die on this guy. And what I can do is put some tape facing up. I hope you see what I'm doing here for this one. Not the biggest deal. I'm just kind of eyeballing where that is, going to lay that tape down so that it's flat. And that way I didn't have to do any I'll just pick it up from here. There we go. Let me see, hopefully my Merry Christmas didn't have too much ink on it still. I had a little bit, it'll be fine. And I'll go ahead and stick the rest of this down. Let's ink this guy up. Yeah, I'm gonna have to put in a request for some green ink, some red ink, maybe some metallic inks. I wonder if those are things that are in the works. That would be really fun. Okay, let's pop this on here and see how it goes. Oh, I said I was gonna put the extra shim right just in case. That is just regular cardstock paper. It's supposed to be heavyweight cardstock, that one, but it still doesn't feel as thick as that cotton paper, so I'm just gonna add that extra shim. So again, the 3 shims are on the bottom under the magnet. This is just the universal plate shim. I think they sell them for like $2.99 for a pack of 2, and I always recommend having them even if you don't have the universal plates because those shims are really good. Obviously you can use them for lots of things. Look at how beautiful that is, and I mean it dries instantly. That's the other thing. So you see that? It just looks very elegant. I know it's hard to get on camera, but oh well. Okay. All right. Well, let me remove that and put my tools away, and I'll be right back. Okay. So I just want to bring these pieces back. So as you can see, it's a little bit crooked there. What I was trying to say is, if you have these awesome precision plates, you can definitely use these to help you layer it up in a different way if you would want. I don't know if this is the largest one or the one that's one size smaller. Let me see here. That looks like the one that cuts the complete front, possibly. No. Oh yeah, that one will cut a little bit. So you can do something like that to help you cut it down, or maybe even the next largest one. And I'm going to do a little bit of watercoloring, basically faux watercoloring on this one. So I think what I'm going to do is put that there and put the tape towards the outside, especially on the cotton paper, because that cotton paper has different layers and it will definitely pull up some of those layers if you end up getting in there. So I'm just going to put it up here. That looks good. And then this one too, I'm just going to frame it out in a way that's more even. And I can just take this to my guillotine, to be honest. You don't have to use those guys. You can just take a little bit off, because mine was very even at the bottom, a little extra on the top. And then with this guy, I mean, I can even use some of the dies from this set, but I think I'm going to do is like a decorative rectangle shape or something. You know, like I have like this little postage shape, or even this guy. Yeah, let's do that one. And I'll run these guys through and we'll have them ready to go. Do some coloring on this one, and that's it. So this one, again, I just cut off enough to make it 4 1/8 by 5 3/8. And that will be one of my cards. And I'll just glue that down. You can pop it up too if you want to give some dimension, since the card is just like your letterpress and more embedded. If you want to get a little more dimension, pop it up. We can definitely add some, you know, little rhinestones here and there, maybe in the corners, like in the middle of the poinsettias, so I'll probably do that. And then for this guy, I did use the die. And so there we are. Look at that, just gorgeous. We need to do some coloring on that. And then we have this piece that, again, I just grabbed the die that I had in my stash, and that'll just pop up kind of in there, or maybe be glued down straight away. Let me grab some colors I would like to use for this. I was thinking about, since I did beige here, maybe some goldy kind of beige flowers. I don't know, we'll see, but we're definitely going to use some green ink, maybe some 2 different colors of green, little red berries. Oh, I have something called Old Red. Let me see if that looks, maybe this one. Yeah, this one's a little more old school classic looking. And let me see about what I'm going to do for the poinsettias, but I'll be right back. So I just have like a acrylic block here. I grabbed something really pretty, I think, for the poinsettias. It's just like a cream color, but I'm going to have to really make sure to use quite a bit. So these are just water-based markers, a water brush, and I'll just pick up some of the color. Like if this is some green, I mean, even need some brown. Now that I look at it, okay, I don't know. Let's say here. And just bring in some color, right? Just a little something. I know it might be hard to see right now, but hopefully once it's all fleshed out, you'll see that. Again, I have some different greens that I pulled out, so you can mix them up a little bit. But I'm going to go through and I have like this darker green. Oh, no, use the other side. You can also color right to this with your pens, of course. Like, let's say we have that one. Nope, green's a little brighter, a little different. Generally, I color the same type of thing green if there's greenery, like in here. Maybe these guys will always have a green that's like this, and the mossy green will be like the pine area that we got earlier, you know? So I'll just kind of play with that. As far as the red berries, we have this red. And so I'll just pick some up, color these guys in. And it's nothing too fancy, it's just a little something, you know? Again, this is that cotton paper. And this was actually bisque. There's also porcelain, which is a little bit whiter, but this is the bisque color. Oh, that's the other greenery. I'm like, there's more greenery. It's the holly leaves, so I'll go with the darker green on those guys. Start in the center and just pull the color out. Just so it looks like you did a little highlighting, you know? But again, I just do it really artsy, like nothing too time consuming or fancy. Okay, something like that. And maybe I should have had a little bit closer look. And then for the poinsettias, I have this color called pale cream. I thought that might be really pretty, just to make it look really plastic. But we want to use quite a bit of that. And start in the center and pull the color out. Again, so it looks like those kind of poinsettias that just have like that white base to them. Now, if that's not quite working, you can go right to paper just to get that color. I'm not really scrubbing too hard, just adding a little color and then just pulling that out too. So I have like those little cream colored poinsettias. You can definitely use some like gold ink or spray. If you have a gold spray, just put a little bit and use that to apply it, you know. Really fun. So I'll just go through and do that and I'll be back. I think I have it. And you see the little pine cone in the background. I used a little brown. I did a little brown in here just to bring that in too. So I think I got everything. Maybe got to finish up my little berries in the center, maybe a little green in there. And that's it. So I'm gonna let that dry real well and I'll be right back. Just to finish this off, like I said, I have maybe some rhinestones. So I have these pretty ones that are kind of like a pale pink, and I thought they really went well. Oh, don't want it there. Pretty. That little pop. Gorgeous. I love it. Super fun and fresh. Not super traditional. And then this guy, we'll bring this over. And you know, if you want another matte layer, you can definitely do that. Right now I'm just going to go right for this. I did want to say, if you are going to run your cotton paper that you BetterPress through a die cutting machine, to put a nice clean, not gouged plate over the top. And I always keep one of my plates not cut into, and I always cut into just one of them. And you guys, I've been using this for, I don't even know how long. You can see how many cuts are on here, and look how straight they still are. So I just, you know, keep turn them, but only cut on this one. So this one's gonna be on top, so it doesn't mar your cotton paper, because the cotton paper is sensitive and beautiful, and we'll just take that in. Look how cute that is. Love the colorway, very fun. And I'm just gonna pop that up and I'll be right back. So just put some dimensionals and just glue it right down. Back off that, or the backing, should I say. And just gonna pop that on there. I'm completely eyeballing this at this point. Yeah, it needs to go up a little bit more on this side. And I think that looks good. Okay. Alright guys, so two totally different cards, same plates, you know. Again, I use just regular paper, so you can see that. Now if you have paper that's, you know, watercolor paper, and you want to use your water-based markers on that, then you can definitely do that. I just chose to use some basic cardstock just so you can see how that works with the letterpress. It is still pressed in there. You can hear that? I would say this one's deeper just because, again, it's that cotton paper, but still, you can still see it. Oh gosh, hopefully. It's really hard for me to get. I don't know. Hopefully you can notice that. Sorry guys. But again, you can use basically any paper. So if you have watercolor paper, or a paper that takes water, even if it's not watercolor paper, or like, you know, go for it. Again, water-based items. I have not seen alcohol ink being used with that because I feel like with the Archival inks, it's for water-based coloring, but you know, let me know how it goes for you if you used anything else. All right, guys, thanks for watching. Brand new club. Again, it is not a part of the total package. Maybe in the future they're going to do something different, but for right now, it's just a club on its own. So is the Wax Seal Club. It's a club on its own. And just keep an eye out in the future for different options, but for right now, it's on its own. So I'll have it all linked in the description box. Thank you so much, Spellbinders, for sending these items for review. I'll have images coming up, and I'll see you all at the next one. Bye now.